Hello, I'm going to be doing a video on Forza 6, and first of all, straight away I'd like to apologise for the windowed setting. This game refuses to record in full screen mode. But I load up Shadow Play, go to record it in full screen, does nothing. That gives me just like a pause screen. If I tab into the game, it will show the first frame I get onto and then just stops. If I use DX12, it just doesn't work, comes out as a black file with nothing in it. So, gonna have to record it in windowed mode. Yay. Settings on this are rather weird. It's a lot of dynamic stuff, so it does what the console does, where it just scales down when it can't render at the max settings or resolution, which means while I've got all this set to max, it may not necessarily be running at max, but considering the frame rate, I think it is. First of all, it does not run at 60 FPS. Wow, I say that and it runs at 60 FPS. So okay, so I'm guessing the 60 FPS might actually be a full screen issue, since when I was running at full screen it was locking to 55 instead of 60. I just thought I'm going to restart this race because there's no NPCs nearby. Right, so since I can't actually... Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, sorry, MSI Afterburner can't hook into this, so that's why I've got the random frame rate count on the right hand side instead of the normal MSI one, which means I'll have to tell you some things for performance wise. Like for example, this game on my 980 Ti at least uses over 5 gigs of VRAM, but this is running at 4K. CPU performance seems to be heavy on a couple of cores, but not all of them, which tells me the DX12 optimization isn't massive. Either that or there's no DX12 mode yet. Because I can see CPU 1 is pegged at 99%, CPU 2 and 3 is 60, CPU 4 is 100, so that's good, that's a lot of multi-coring. But then 5, 6, 7 and 8 are like 20%. Actually 7's about 45, but the others are at 30. I'm crashing because I'm looking away from monitor, by the way. Just reading things off. RAM usage on this seems kind of high. Like, I've got Google Chrome open in the background, as you can tell at the bottom. But I've managed to go over 9-10 gigs of RAM while running this. But generally considering that this is running at 4K and max settings, performance seems really good. GPU usage itself, oops, sorry, dude. GPU usage itself is at around about 70 to 80%, so which indicates there's a bit more headroom there. Though at times, like twice so far, it's peaked to 100%. You may have saw a frame dip earlier. I think I noticed it go up to like 58 or something. But yeah, since we've got the dynamic render thing on, but it's not using all the GPU, I think it's safe to assume that this is nailing onto max settings and staying there rather than scaling down. What I would like to say is, since you can change the dynamic settings and dynamic render resolution, that is really good for inconsistent frame rates, since you can just target 60, choose your resolution, and then not worry about the settings if you're a type of person who doesn't like to tweak those. Just imagine if you're here though, you do. I'm just quickly peeking over to the other settings, well, with the screen. Yeah, VRAM usage just seems to settle now. It's at 5,457 meg. So it either requires a lot of VRAM or it likes to use what's there. Might just be like a Shadow of Mordor situation where it uses what it's got. Like that game at 4K max settings will use like 8-10 gigs on a Titan X because it just can. Where it only needs like 5. Oh. But another thing is, I'll quickly jump back into the settings here, is that anti-aliasing, where is it? Here, is set at dynamic. You cannot turn AA off entirely. You can either have 2, 4, 8 times, or have it in dynamic. So whether you like it or not, it's going to bump that on if it can. Let's stick that onto 4 times. or not. Because, yeah, I hate settings that don't apply instantly. But yeah, since that's on there, like right now that could be running 2 times MSAA, 4 times or 8 times, and I would have no way of checking without benchmarking 2 versus 4 versus 8 separately. So it's going to be very finicky to find out what runs best for you. In terms of graphics themselves though, the game seems to be really pretty. Noticed a few things maybe with shadow resolution looking a bit weird on these side of these cars here. Well, when we're not in the shade. And the texture resolution is not that great. And those houses up there look very like cardboard boxy. But then again, I prefer to play the game like this so you don't really notice it then. Because cockpit mode is best mode. But yeah, if I come around here, because it's just wrapping up now, we stop here. You have the photo mode back, which is nice. Downside is it does that weird blurring thing. But yeah, that is max texture resolution and max shadows. It's not very impressive. I mean, granted, you're going to be driving fast, but if anybody's played Project Cars, they would know that that is subpar by quite a while. I still remember when NPCs were literally just flat sprites in the audience. Good old days. Wait there. I thought I had a co-driver then. But yeah, the game's pretty, runs wow. I'm not sure why it's dipped to 30 FPS. I've just noticed in photo mode. Thought it felt a bit weird. It's like that is very odd. There's also camera acceleration on the photo mode as well. Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's actually a good running Windows Store game. Anybody who goes to download it, you may have issues with Windows Store. Like you go to download it, it says acquiring license gets stuck. For me, I had to just like keep retrying, and eventually I gave up. But then, without me knowing, the game downloaded in the background, so that was a bit dodgy. Windows Store itself can be a bit dodgy because you'll default to a download location, and you have to go into the Windows settings themselves to change it. But apart from that, promising port, and hopefully adds a lot more stuff out of beta, including multiplayer, because this is currently a single player beta. But yeah, performance is good. Okay guys, I hope that was helpful to you, and thank you for watching. Catch you soon.